Hey guys, Abby Walsh here, and we're going to talk about sugar on food labels today. So sugar is one of those things that's really kind of confusing to look at on a food label, and it even took me a long time to really get a hold on it. So here's the deal. When you're looking at sugar on a food label, the first thing to note is that if you follow that line the whole way across to the right, there's no percent daily value. So what does that mean? So for everything else, carbs, protein, fat, sodium, there are percent daily values listed on there. And that's based on a 2,000 calorie a day diet. So why don't they have sugar percent daily values listed? Well, if we look at how much sugar we're actually supposed to have in a day, when it comes to added sugar, it's recommended that females have no more than 6 teaspoons of added sugar a day, and males have no more than 9 added teaspoons of sugar a day. So if we were to look at something like a soda or juice, and we see that it has a higher content of sugar, maybe as high as 50 grams of sugar. If we look at a female amount of sugar we should have in a day, we're looking at 6 teaspoons a day times 4 grams, which is the amount of sugar in 1 teaspoon. That's 24 grams of added sugar in a day. Well, if a soda has 50 grams of sugar, we are looking at like double or 200% the amount of sugar we should have in a day. So that wouldn't be very good marketing, would it? If we already knew we were having twice the amount of sugar we should have in a day in one soda, would we drink it? Probably not. So we have to become detectives when it comes to food labels. We have to learn what's hidden in there, how sugar is hidden, and we need to make educated decisions. So here's the deal. With sugar, we want to look at the amount of sugar, and unfortunately, food labels also don't share with us the grams of added sugar versus the grams of naturally occurring sugar in food. So in things like yogurt, there's some sugar naturally occurring because yogurt is a milk product. It has lactose. Lactose is a sugar, and there's going to be naturally occurring sugars in that yogurt. But then when we flavor yogurt and we add sugars to it, that sugar gram amount goes up higher, but we don't know how much is actually from naturally occurring sugars versus added sugars on that yogurt. So here's a great example. For yogurt, this is what I do. I buy plain Greek yogurt, or you could buy plain regular yogurt if that's what you prefer, and I flavor it and I sweeten it myself. So what can you do there? You can use stevia, which is a natural sweetener that doesn't have any grams of sugar in it because it's not sugar, it's from a sweet leaf. And you can use that to not have any added grams of sugar on it. Or you could do something like add honey or agave nectar to your yogurt, but measure it out yourself. So you could measure out how many teaspoons of sugar or how many grams of sugar you're adding to your yogurt clearly versus having something that is kind of mixed in, the natural sugar versus the added sugars. So what else do we want to look for on the food label? So first we looked at the grams of sugar, and if the grams is high, then we want to check out, is sugar an ingredient listed on the food label? So on a food label, it starts with the first ingredient is the most prominent in that food, and then it goes less and less and less as it goes down the food label. So the first thing we want to do is look at where sugar is listed on the food label. Is it the second ingredient? Is it the fifth ingredient? Is it the first ingredient? And that'll give us a little bit clearer of a representation of how much added sugar is added. The second thing we want to note is that food companies know this rule that they have to list the most prominent ingredient first. So often we have multiple different types of sugars added to one product in order to be able to space those out down the food chain on the ingredient list. I know that's crazy, isn't it? But it's true. So here's some keywords to look out for. Brown rice syrup is a common one that's added to a lot of even health food products. So brown rice syrup, cane juice, evaporated cane juice, sugar, raw sugar, brown sugar, organic sugar. All of these things are sugars on top of fructose, that's a sugar as well, or ones that are a little bit harder to identify like dextrose. These are all sugars, and sometimes they're listed on a food label separately so that they can be spaced out lower on the list. So what can we do? What I like to do is buy foods that don't have sugar added to them at all. I'd like to sweeten them myself, like that example I gave you with the yogurt. So you can sweeten things yourself, and then you know how much sugar is in a product instead of the company determining how much has to be in there for you. A lot of times companies add extra sodium to things too to balance them out. So maybe you didn't need as much sugar as was actually listed in that product. That goes for things like tomato sauce too. Some people like sweet tomato sauce. You could add sugar to the tomato sauce yourself and have less added sugar than it would be in a jarred or canned tomato sauce. So those are some examples of what it looks like to add sugar to things and what to look like on a food label. So one other thing to look out for is maybe there's no added sugar. Maybe sugar is not an ingredient on it, or there's no grams of sugar in something. Something to look out for would be added artificial sweeteners, okay? So there's a lot of artificial sweeteners. It's a long list, but a way that we can get away from this is by buying foods that are not processed, by buying non-convenience foods, making things ourselves, starting with the whole food, fresh product. That's the easiest way to avoid this. The amount of artificial sweeteners and sugar alcohols that are available on the market today and in processed foods are extreme. There's so many of them, it's hard to keep up with. But some that are very common are aspartame, sucralose. These are ones that we see on a lot of things added. So keep an eye out for added sugars and added artificial sweeteners on your food labels. I hope this helped you understand sugar on a food label a little bit better. If you have any questions, please feel free to comment below. Share this post if you liked it, and let me know if you want more content like this in the future. I hope you have a great day. Bye.